So, coming up this weekend, we've got, in my opinion, the fight of the year so far. It's definitely the fight I've been looking forward to the most, and that is Fabio Wardley versus Daniel Dubois for the WBO heavyweight world title. It's a first defense for Fabio Wardley, and it's a shot at redemption for Daniel Dubois, a chance to become a two-time heavyweight world champion. Let's talk about it. Just before we get into the juicy part of this video, if you could do me a massive favour, hit that like button, and if you're not already subscribed, make sure you hit subscribe and turn on those notifications. Thank you. Back into it. So this fight goes down this weekend, and it's one I've been calling for months now. Ever since Fabio Wardley got elevated to world champion, it's a fight I've been calling for. It's a beautiful blend of styles. It's a great matchup, and I don't see how this fight can't end with fireworks. You've got two massive punchers. You've got two guys who are quite defensively irresponsible and reckless. They like to run red lights. They take risks in there, and they're both tremendous punchers, as their records would suggest. Fabio Wardley is 20-0-1. That one blemish been a draw with Frazer Clarke, who he then flattened in a rematch later that year in one round. And Daniel Dubois is 22-3, 21 of those wins coming by way of knockout. He's got those three defeats, of course, two to Oleksandr Usyk, and then that one defeat many years ago to Joe Joyce. So it makes for a great fight. They've got identical heights, identical reaches. There's really not much to separate these two guys here. Listen, this fight's going to be crazy. I literally do not know what's going to happen. Any outcome would not surprise me. This fight could go early, either way. Dubois could chin Fabio Wardley early. Wardley could chin Dubois early. It could go into the second half of the fight. Listen, I don't know. I've left this fight off my bet this weekend because I don't know. I don't know which way this is going to go, but I am going to give a prediction and a bit of a breakdown in this video. Well, I'm going to try my best anyway. So we all know the story with Fabio Wardley by now. White collar fighter, 10 years ago, he was working in an office. He was a recruitment consultant, and he thought, you know what, sod it, I'm going to give this white collar stuff a go. Bashed a few people up in that. Next thing you know, he's training in Dylan White's gym. And I can remember Fabio Wardley when he was on the come up, fighting on a lot of Dylan White undercards, a lot of matchroom shows. He fought Simon Valile, he fought Richard Lartey, and then he stepped it up a bit. He fought Eric Molina, and even when he was fighting guys of that caliber, he was winning. He was knocking them out. He was bowling them over, but he was still getting clipped and tagged with shots. And you couldn't help but feel, this guy's not got the amateur experience. He's not got the boxing pedigree. He's going to get found out sooner or later. And then every time he stepped up, and he was meant to get found out, he'd find a way to win. Take Nathan Gorman, for example. Nathan Gorman, good amateur pedigree, trained with Tyson Fury, been in there with some good guys. He was on the GB team. He fights Fabio Wardley. He's lighting him up in that first round, them first couple of rounds. He busts his nose up, and then it's like something comes over Fabio Wardley when he's been hit and he's been hurt, and he just breaks out into this fit of rage, and he just ragdolled Nathan Gorman around the ring, took him out, stopped him in brutal fashion. Then he stepped up again on the Tyson Fury Francis Ngannou undercard. He fought David Adelaide, another fight where we were thinking, he's fighting a guy with some decent amateur pedigree here. He's fast, he can punch. He's going to get exposed. Nothing of the sorts. Demolishes him. Brutal knockout in the 7th round. He steps up again. Frazer Clarke, Olympian, high vintage amateur pedigree. Surely he's going to lose this one. Now, don't get me wrong. The first fight was a barn burner. It was razor close. It did put Clarke down in the 5th round, but they squeaked out a draw. Okay, people thought, you know what, Fabio Wardley, he's exceeded expectations, but you know what, Frazer Clarke can make the adjustments in the rematch and he can get him out of there. Oh, rematch. Yeah, about that. Fabio Wardley splattered him in a round, put a big dent in his head, and Frazer Clarke's not been the same since. Justice Hooney, good amateur again, was boxing circles around Fabio Wardley. Gets overconfident, gets complacent, folded in half in the 10th round in a fight it was on course to win. And then Joseph Parker, former world champion, avoided heavyweight on a great run, gets bashed up, about 50 unanswered punches. Fabio Wardley stops him. And before you know it, a white collar fighter turned recruitment consultant is the heavyweight champion of the world. And you're asking yourself, how the hell did it come to this? Well, I'll tell you what, Fabio Wardley deserves to be where he is. No one deserves this more than him. And there's some nuance to his game. He does some things in there very well. He's getting better each fight as well. You look at the way he broke down Justice Hooney and hit him with that right hand. Yeah, people are going to say, oh, it was a lucky punch. There's no such thing as a lucky punch in boxing. Him and Ben Davison had worked on that. They timed him. They caught him coming in and they flattened him. And then against Joseph Parker, he was competitive in that fight. He wore him down and he stopped him late. And the most impressive thing about Fabio Wardley is the grit, the determination, the heart, the fire, the desire, the willingness to go through hell to win a fight. And I think that could be the difference in this fight. And you've got Daniel Dubois on the other hand. He was a prodigy as a kid. Frank Warren snapped him up very, very young. He's had his trials and tribulations. You know, he packed it in against Joyce, packed it in against Usyk. You could even argue he packed it in both times against Usyk. But he's had some good wins mixed in there. Battered Nathan Gorman in what was meant to be a 50-50. Battered Anthony Joshua. Oh my goodness. That one of the most one-sided world title fights I've ever seen. Good wins over Hrgovic, although Hrgovic was having success in that fight until he got cut and gassed out. And Jarrell Miller, given the context of the situation in which he was thrown into that fight, that was a very good win for Daniel Dubois, the Jarrell Miller win. Outside of that, if you look at the fights like the Kevin Lerena fight, that was alarming for Daniel Dubois. They say he did his knee, they say he did his cruciate in there. Listen, I've done my cruciate. I don't know if you can survive big, heavy punches for that long if you've done your cruciate. But either way, something was up. He got through that fight and he's lucky because his career might have never got off the ground if he didn't beat Lerena that night. But the thing is with Daniel Dubois, you can't trust him to come through a crisis in a fight and you just never know what you're going to get. You get the version that came up against Anthony Joshua. He was not losing that night. He was a man possessed. He was about him. He stuck it on him. He flew across the ring with that quick double jab. And that was all we needed. He just overpowered the older, more experienced fighter in Anthony Joshua. But then you look at him in the Joe Joyce fight and the Usyk fights when things aren't going his way and he just looked for a way out. He just didn't want to be in there anymore. He couldn't get any of his shots off. His jab was taken away. He couldn't land his right hand and the distress signals were there from Daniel Dubois. So I think the thing with Daniel Dubois is, if, I've stated this in videos in the past, if he can hang in there, he can trade with you, he can exchange, he might be getting hit, but if he can land his own shots, he'll stick in there and he'll have a scrap with you. But when you do what Joe Joyce and Usyk did and take his weapons away from him and you're just peppering him all night, it can be found wanting in the ring. And what I'm getting at is, I don't know if I can trust Daniel Dubois in a big fight. He's shown me he can win and win in good fashion against Joshua, against Gorman, against Jarrell Miller in the end, although he had to come through some adversity in that fight. But I can't bet against Fabio Wardley. I can't predict a fight based on what I think might happen. I can only go on the evidence of both fighters. And they say you're only as good as your last fight. So I think Fabio Wardley's going to knock him out. Yeah, I've flip-flopped. I've gone back and forth, but I think Wardley's going to get to him and Wardley's going to knock him out. I've not been sure about Daniel Dubois' demeanour in the build-up to this fight. I think he's looked a bit rattled on fight week. You know, he's walking out of interviews. He's trying to psych up Fabio Wardley, trying to intimidate him. He's acting out of character. You know what? He's acting how he acted in the build-up to the Usyk rematch. And look what happened there. He got flattened. He's changed trainers. He went over to Tony Sims. He was back with Don Charles before you could even say Tony Sims. And yeah, I can't bank on Daniel Dubois hanging in there tough. He's made the money. He's been to the top of the mountain. He's failed to achieve his goal as undisputed. And I don't know. I feel like the momentum is with Fabio Wardley. Fabio Wardley doesn't know how to lose either. And he still wants the Usyk fights. He wants to unify. He wants to be undisputed. Daniel Dubois tried that. He's had it. He couldn't make it. And if Daniel Dubois loses this, I'm not sure where he goes. If Fabio Wardley loses this fight, he can come again. He was never meant to win anyway. Fabio Wardley's a betting favourite, but Daniel Dubois really should be favourite in this fight. And he's got a good chance of winning. He's got a very, very good chance of winning this fight. If he comes out, I wouldn't recommend flying at Fabio Wardley and getting involved in an exchange, because that's the last thing you want to do. That's playing into Fabio Wardley's hands. If I were Daniel Dubois, if I were Don Charles, if I were in his team, I'd be saying, you've got the better jab, you've got the better footwork, you've got the better boxing skills. Use that double jab, butter him up on the outside. He's not going to be able to compete with you at long range, jab for jab. Soften him up for a few rounds, hit him to the body, and then maybe try and take over in the second half of the fight. Is Daniel Dubois capable of that? Yes. Do I think he'll be able to do that? No. Fabio Wardley's extremely tough. He's going to dig deep, because this fight's going to get messy at some point. And if it manages to become a war of attrition, I think Fabio Wardley will get the better of it. Daniel Dubois can win this fight, don't get me wrong, but like I say, I can't bank on it. I have more confidence in Fabio Wardley finding a way to win than Daniel Dubois, because he's a bipolar fighter. You don't know what you're going to get from fight to fight. He's going to have the demons there from that Usyk knockout defeat. Yeah, listen, I'm tentatively going to pick Fabio Wardley, but it really is a pick 'em. You could make a great argument for Daniel Dubois winning this fight. You can make a great argument for Wardley, but based on what I've seen recently, based on what I know about both fighters, based on Wardley's mindset, based on Dubois' mindset, I'm going with Wardley. You'd be a fool to bet against that man. So I think Wardley KO, and I think it's going to be in the second half of the fight. And I think it might even be a situation where Daniel Dubois goes down, he's thinking about getting up, and he just doesn't. That's how I see the fight going. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. How do you see this one going? How do you see it playing out? Can Fabio Wardley defend his world title? Can Daniel Dubois become a two-time heavyweight world champion? Let me know in the comments below. Don't forget to like this video, share, subscribe if you're new. I'll see you on the next one. Peace.